Hey, there you are. Welcome back. Episode 24. Today I speak with Chapman Welch of Houston, Texas. Chapman is a terrific guitar player. He is a very knowledgeable music guy. He's even a doctor of music. He does great tutorials here on YouTube and on Instagram. I have definitely become a better player from watching his tutorials. Highly recommend checking them out. Really interesting conversation here. He's a fascinating guy. If there's anyone else you think I should be talking to, please leave a comment below or send me an email at secretguitarclub@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the other side. Hey, good morning, Chapman. Thank you for joining the club. How are you?
Doing great, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for taking the time to join in. I'm a big fan of your videos on Instagram. You do a great job with all of your lessons. You do a great job of making them simple, concise. You've got the tab out there. I just love the stuff that you're putting out.
Well, thanks, man. I'm a teacher by trade.
Yeah.
I teach at Rice University, but I don't teach guitar. I teach people how to make electronic music, and I also teach people how to record themselves. Like I teach a graduate course where people I teach them how to make better audition videos and how to record
Yeah.
themselves, how to like present themselves better orally. And um, I've had a lot of years of teaching experience. So when somebody said, "Hey, you should teach guitar," I'm like, because I play guitar all my life, but I've never really taught it. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. So I started putting videos on Instagram about just at first it was just going to be what do I think, what have great guitar players taught me over the years, either in person or just vicariously through their videos or whatever. And so I started doing that. Like my first video got 600,000 views, and I was like, wow,
What?
that's pretty good. But like the other videos, here's the funny thing: the other videos that I did, everybody posts video of them shredding, doing stuff, and so I did
Yeah.
too. And like I'd have 500. I always wanted people to watch it and go, "Oh, he's a good guitar player." We all want that gratification and people to make
Dopamine
them
hit.
feel, yeah, yeah, to justify themselves. And I when I did that, nobody watched my videos. But if you give away knowledge for free and you play something nice, then people are like, "Oh, thank you so much. Oh, and you're a good guitar player." So you get what you want without making it an ego trip about you. It's more about giving. And so I kind of had
Well,
that shift in my life where I was like, okay, this is no longer about me. I'm just want to give away
mhm.
what I've learned from these great players. I'm just going to give it away. Actually,
And then
I'll tell
you get it
Brian
back.
Sutton's guitar camp. I started going there because it's kind of unobtainium sort of thing to hang out with Brian and Julian Lodge or whoever's there, for the week. And um, so when I went there, a lot of the students were hanging out with me, and I was teaching them at that camp, even though I wasn't a teacher at the camp. They were just learning stuff from me, and they're the ones who said, "Hey,
Uh,
you should do this." And so that's when I started doing it, and rest is history, man. So I guess in a way, I'm really enjoying all the people I'm helping, mostly positive things coming back from the universe about it.
yeah, totally. Yeah, it all does come back. Like when you put it out, it comes back, and that's super cool and beautiful. Um, you are an excellent guitar player. That's obvious from your videos.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me, when did you start playing guitar? You just played as a young kid, right?
Yeah, well, I started playing piano when I was about 6 or 7, and then
Mhm.
I started playing guitar when I was about 12. Like, seriously, I mean, your hands are small when I mean, some people can
Yeah,
start really young, but my brother, who's, I was kind of a accident in the sense that my mother was 44 when she had me, so it's pretty old to have a kid. And so my brother was about 16 years older than me, my brother Ernie. And I have another brother who's older than him, Sammy. But Ernie basically, he is a country singer, or he was, you know, and he was trying to make it big, and he made it on Billboard and did some things, and he worked with this guy Johnny Sandlin. And Johnny Sandlin recorded a bunch of the Allman Brothers records, like Ramblin' Man and all these things. And he also did like all the Aquarium Rescue Unit records. He did Widespread Panic records. He did, and this is at this time, Dixie Dregs, you know, Steve Morse and stuff. And so all these Guitar Hero people, you know, that from Dwayne Allman to, you know, Steve Morse, you know, he had recorded him and knew him. Clapton, he had recorded Clapton. He told me a story about recording Clapton, and it didn't get put on the record because it was on a Mountain record. Speaking of Leslie West, he had like recorded Leslie West, and so Clapton made that record with Leslie West, but then they couldn't release it because he didn't have a work visa, and so they were going to get in trouble if they played a session. Wow. So they couldn't do it. But that guitar, he had the oldest Stratocaster I'd ever seen. Like, and I got to play it all the time. Anyway, the whole point is I met Johnny through my brother Ernie.
Gotcha.
So when I was about 15, I made this record in town, in my little town in Corinth, Mississippi, which is like a Civil War town. If you know Shiloh, the Battle of Shiloh, it's like right by there. So, it's a big Civil War town, whatever. But in this little town, there was this guy named Art Joyce who was a friend of my brother's. My brother was in a bluegrass band, and in addition to trying to make it in country, and he Art heard our record, heard me play a few of the songs, you know. And so my wife, who was not my wife at the time, even though it was Mississippi, 15 and 14, it's a little too young. Anyway, so but we didn't date till many years later. But we went and recorded a record with with some friends under the band name Law of Nature, and so we were 15 and 14, so we recorded that record with Art in a day and sold a bunch of those, and then started playing. And then my brother had connections in Nashville, so we would go up to Nashville and play, or go to Memphis and play on the weekends. Right. And so that was sort of my life as a kid, was being in bars. And I don't recommend it for your children, but it's what I did playing in front of people as a child, you know. And and then Johnny heard it, and through Ernie, my brother, played it for Johnny, and Johnny was like, "Oh man, we should get him in to record." So we went in there, and I had like 7 tunes, and basically had a lot more, but he had 7. We're going to record, or 6 or something. 3 of them he liked, and 3 of them he didn't. So he kept our old drummer and our bass player on the ones he didn't like. Then he fired them and hired this guy named Brian Owings, who plays Owings, I think, who plays with at the time he was playing with Delbert McClinton, but I think he plays with Emmylou Harris now. And and then Dave Schools from the Swampers, you know, to play bass on it, because it was in Muscle Shoals. So I'm just gonna go, man, because I'm telling you about this stuff. I live in Corinth, Mississippi, which is right near Memphis, Tupelo, Muscle Shoals. So it's like right in this musical pocket. So everybody I knew could play. Let me fix this camera. Sometimes it's back. Okay. Yeah. So getting to play. So our first record, 3 of the tracks have like these like hotshot musicians on it, and me and the 2 vocalists, my wife and the other singer, and then me playing guitar. I made the cut, but nobody, you know, they fired everybody else, you know. So, but Johnny was probably one of the biggest influences on me. He taught me how to make records. The old school way. I learned how to really make a record and myself, and just the process of it. It's not the process nowadays. You can do it on your computer in your house. I mean, I have a bunch of preamps and guitar amps and things, you know. But he taught me that, and it. Sorry. Let me fix this, dude. It does this from time to time. I don't know why. You change this thing. Sorry, dude. I don't know if you
good.
It.
You're good. No, you're a little bit fuzzy, but you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Is it just? Sorry, brother.
That's okay. Well, it's amazing. That is an amazing upbringing to be
And
playing
then I
with
was playing
talent like
classical
that.
piano too.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was like my two divergent worlds, you know.
Now, were you self-taught at guitar, or did you take lessons as a kid?
I, I took tons of piano lessons, and I took like
Yep.
maybe one guitar lesson or two in my life until about 8 years ago. I'm still fuzzy, huh?
A little bit.
It's maybe I need to. I'm just
That's
trying to figure
better.
out what the hell's going on. So anyway, so basically, I took tons of piano lessons, but hardly any guitar lessons. I took a few, but then I was playing and hanging out with pretty great players from the time I was a kid,
Yeah.
and getting to. So that's really the better. That's the way I learned, and I
Yeah.
also learned from. Initially I was studying music, so I would buy like Guitar Magazine because they always had the tabs of all the
Hmm.
heavy metal that I loved as a kid. I'm a child of the 80s, so it was like the first solo I ever learned was Talk Dirty to Me, Poison. And
Yeah.
it's just, it was what was on the radio, but I loved like Warren DeMartini and all these other great guitar players, Jakey Lee, all those guys from that era. Yeah, so that's sort of having the piano lessons kind of informed the way I could learn guitar.
Yeah.
And so I took some of the ideas from piano, which is like economy of motion,
Hmm.
ease, and like just the idea of how to make music,
Yeah.
and just said, oh, when I'm practicing these scales, I would always practice in front of a mirror. And my wife, who was, I'll tell you in a second, man, let me try. Yeah, there we go. My
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah.
who was in the band with me, would always make fun of me and say I was so egotistical because I would sit there and practice in front of a mirror. But I wasn't looking at me and thinking how cool I was. I was looking at my hands.
Yeah.
And so I would notice like my pinky was curling up. And I was like, that's tension that I don't need. I need to let my pinky. So I'd make my pinky stick out
Uh-huh.
and do things like that. And then I had a 4-track Tascam recorder. This is before Johnny, but like when I was right. And so, I would record, it was my brother's, but he gave it to me. So I would record these 4-track things and make these crazy records with my friends. And I made one when I first started the band with her. And basically, I heard that I was going da 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 da, like really accenting the first note of a 16th note run every time. So listening to myself, I would learn, oh, don't do that anymore. That doesn't sound good, and just being like this, being your own teacher in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I always tell my students this at Rice. It's like, you're the world's #1 expert about one thing, what you want to sound like.
Hmm.
There's nobody in the world who knows better than you what you want to sound like. And number two, there's nobody that you can pay. There's no engineer or anybody else in the world that you can pay to care as much as you do about what you sound like. So,
Yeah. That's good advice.
so those two things are like, you're your best teacher. Now, having said that, you do have to learn something. You can't just go out and wing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to like study. This argument about like whether it's theory or whether theory is good or not, it's a silly argument. It's like, to me, it just makes no sense because it's like the more you learn about something, the better you understand it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that you have to. I know a lot about cooking. I cook, and every time I cook, I don't have to like throw in everything that I've learned about cooking into my dish. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's just I'm making steak or I'm making a cake. You know what I mean? One of the two, and I don't have to. Yeah, of course, if you take everything you know and throw it in a pot, it's going to be gross. But if you pick and choose what is useful,
Yeah. When to use this? When to use that?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, that's helpful. And I think as guitar players, if you can't buy into some theory, you're an improvising musician. Most guitar players, besides classical guitar players, are improvising musicians. So it's like you have to get
Yeah.
some ingredients for that cake, or else you're just
But
making a
it's
terrible cake.
also, I think about it like driving kind of blind without a map. You know, you're kind of just driving around. You don't know where you're going.
Hmm.
You don't have any direction. You don't know where you're going to end up. I think about that kind of analogy when I think about, the fretboard and navigating around it, which is something I've been working on a little bit more myself, trying to,
Hmm.
bring in more theory and understand the map of the fretboard.
Yeah, that's a really important thing, you know.
Hmm.
I think that, like, well, the best exercise for that too that I ever learned is the Mick Goodrick book, you know, The Advancing Guitarist. It's just the guitar, you know. I'll grab a guitar if you don't mind.
No, I was hoping you would.
Yeah, man. So this is going through my Soldano SLO 100 from the 90s that Jimmy Herring blew up one time. That's a good story.
Nice.
And this aux, you know, because after the pandemic, my wife started working from home, so I used to record with my amps in the other room, just
Yeah, yeah.
smashing loud, you know. But I'm in here; it doesn't matter. But
Right.
no human can live in that room when I've got headphones on and it's like blasting. So, the thing about piano, I'm a pianist. I got a piano here. It's easy to see the white notes and the black notes. You know, it's like
Yeah.
what's a natural, what's not. But here, you know, right? You know, we got 6 E's there.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? How do we navigate it? So the idea is just to think about the white notes of the guitar and set a drone. This is what I teach students: set a drone to C.
Yeah.
If I had one,
Yeah.
and just solo on one string.
Yep. Yep. Very cool.
You know, just keep doing that. And then it's like, if you know where all the G's are, you know where all the G sharps are.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
where all the G flats are, because it's like, so you don't have to know it all. You just have to know what's important, which is
Hmm.
where all the white notes are. Then you're like, okay, A flat, there we are, because there's A and it's down one, you know?
Yeah.
So then playing in these other keys becomes easier in a way,
Hmm.
to me, I think. Having said that, most of my gigs are like country gigs and or bluegrass, or I'm playing with the orchestra at Rice this weekend.
Oh, cool.
If your
Yeah.
sister-in-law is there, but anyway, you ought to tell her.
Hmm.
So I'm soloing on this Mason Bates thing, you know, which is different. You know, it's like D flat, E flat, F, B flat, F, D minor, then G out of the blue, you know, that you solo over. So, you know, being able to navigate those changes and knowing your triads, it's super important. I mean,
Yeah.
people sleep on that, you know, but it's just like, can you do that? Do you know where your triads are?
Yeah.
Oh, do I? There we go. But
I
anyway,
think you do.
so
I want to go back to when you were a kid a little bit, and you talked about how you were just around so many players, and I think that's a super valuable way to learn the guitar. I kind of play in a vacuum. I don't really play with other people. I wish
yeah,
I did play with more people because I can tell I would get a lot out of it and learn a lot. But can you talk about sort of how that works? Just sort of like being around people, picking up what they're doing, and then adding it into your repertoire. And
yeah, damn
why
right.
is that so helpful?
Well, for one thing, I would watch those videos. You know, just watch the
Hmm.
videos that at the time it was like Hot Licks videos and things. And I love those, and I still go back to them sometimes, like the Danny Gatton ones, the Britt Mason ones. There's great stuff on there. You know, pre-internet snippets. You know,
Yeah.
they got in pretty deep on those because they'd be an hour long or 90 minutes long or something. You know,
Yeah.
so I learned a ton from those.
Cool.
And sort of in the same way, you just be like, "Hey, man, what is that?" And then
Hmm.
they'd show you, and then you would figure out the ramifications of that. Like, you know, I remember one thing is like, I was playing on, I don't know if I was playing or just seeing them at this point, but I think I was playing. Yeah, I was playing with them. The night that Jimmy Herring, he wouldn't remember this, but I remember it because he was one of my heroes. You know, we were opening up for Aquarium Rescue Unit, and his amp, he had this old Marshall and it blew up. And so me being the eager kid, I had my Soldano. I was like, dude, just use my Soldano, please. He's like, okay. They plug in, blew up my Soldano too. So whatever was blowing up his shit was blowing up my too. Okay.
Yeah.
So he felt bad about it. So we rolled around looking for a fuse, you know.
Yeah.
And so I remember we were in our van in our trailer and we couldn't like get out. So I remember walking up to a guitar playing friend of mine and being like, "Hey, do you want to take me and Jimmy Herring around looking for a tube or a fuse?" And he was like, yes, I do. So we were just riddling Jimmy with all these questions, you know. But he taught me this thing because there's a solo he does on No Egos Underwater. I forget exactly how it is, but there's a tune called No Egos Underwater. And I was like, how are you doing those sweep picking licks? And he was like, what are you talking about? I don't do any sweep picking licks. And it was like, it sounds like you're sweeping it. And he was like, nah, it's this thing. And so what he did, it was string skipping with, he called it shuffle picking. That's what because your pick is going. Like, dum. Or how's it?
Yeah.
I'm just playing like a G minor pentatonic skipping and string. Or
Yeah. Yeah, the technique is out of this world.
so those kind of like
Yeah.
you could do all these or whatever he's doing, you know. You need a little more gain on it to pull off those things. I mean, it's fine, but you know.
Yeah.
And then now I do it with my finger. Much easier.
Oh, you're doing it with your index finger?
I'm plucking with my ring.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm not doing the top part of the shuffle, but
Now, is that when you got into the chicken picking?
no, I got into chicken picking with Johnny Sandler.
Earlier.
Man,
Yeah.
Because Johnny, man, it was just, you know, when you're a kid, you think, oh, this is how it is. I hang out with this famous producer and I can ask him stuff all the time and it's how my life's going to be, you know. But you didn't realize how special it was till later, you know. And so I just remember hanging out with Johnny and I was hearing like Brent Mason, those guys. I was about 18, you know. And yeah, my first record with Johnny I was 18 or 17. Anyway, I was young. I was a baby, right? So then I was like, man, I really want to learn how to do this country thing. And Johnny was just like, well, there's this guy in town. He's a retired in Muscle Shoals or in Decatur. Johnny was in Decatur, but basically, he said, man, I got this guy who could teach you how to do country. And he was a great jazz player and he was a great country player. And I don't remember his name. And I always say that, and people go, was it so-and-so? Was it so-and-so? Well, the dude could come and bite me on the neck, and I wouldn't know who the hell he was. You know what I mean? Because I took one lesson one time from this guy, but I recorded it on tape. And so I listened to it over and over and got it. And he's the guy who taught me chicken picking. And, you know, when I walked in there, I was an 18-year-old hotshot, thought I was a great guitar player, recording with this fan. About to go on the road. I'm a badass. What are you talking about? And then when I left there going, I suck at this thing, man. I can't play this thing. Because it's like that just getting it to where you can just do it all day, you know? And it
Muscle
just happened.
memory, right?
I would say what?
Muscle memory?
Yeah, and the way I think about these things, and this is a good tip for anybody, is how I do it. Like right now, I'm learning this Jerry Donahue pattern. And it's kind of complicated, but there's a video of him teaching you this. Anyway, I'm learning that, and so what I have to do to learn it is I have to drill down and make sure that the technique is right first. Make sure that I really have it under control. Make sure I can break it up into pieces. Then add the next one. then put them together. And then, while me and my wife are watching TV or I'm doing something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just getting that muscle memory going.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but you got to get it. If you're practicing it wrong, so you got to like spend some real Beethoven's teacher said that you should practice practice your scales while reading the paper. And it's sort of the same idea. Like the scales, it's like, I don't need to be mentally involved here. Once you really have it. When you first learn it, you have to be mentally involved to get all your fingerings and everything down and make sure. But once it's in the muscle memory, then it's just a matter of just keeping it, burning it deep, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at first you do have to like spend mental energy to make sure it's going to work. And then after that, just sitting there drilling it forever.
Yeah.
And the reason I learned that is because I could never do those kind of licks that Danny Gatton would do. And I was like, by God, this is about a month ago. I was like, by God, I'm going to do this. And so now I can, you know, but it's like, I just had never, ever learned it.
Yeah.
And then the other trick to this is like, is the path you're going down fruitful? Like, because there are a lot of dead end paths. I just heard Julian Lodge. She was talking about this, about a lot of the things that he was taught to practice and things. He's just not into, and it was a waste of his time. And so, that's okay. I mean, you know, there's Jimi Hendrix, there's Joe Pass, there's everybody. It's like, and if it's not speaking to you, just because you feel like there's some taskmaster somewhere. Like, where do you want to? What do you want? What's the end goal of this thing? What do you really want to learn? And so, pick things you want to learn. Then you really have to drill down on them and just, you know, figure out how it works into your playing. And then muscle memory. So that chicken picking is muscle memory.
Yeah. You're a great example of the right hand technique. Like, there's a lot going on with your right hand, and it makes a huge difference.
Well, you know, about 8 years ago, I started taking lessons. You asked me if I took guitar lessons. I've taken the most guitar lessons in the past 10 years of my life than any other time.
Amazing.
Because I went and heard, my brother still plays music. He writes songs. He's had hits on like bluegrass. You know what I mean? It's cool, you know. But he has a song called "Flowers and Lace" that he co-wrote with the Graskels. If you've ever heard of them, they recorded. It was a hit for them. Anyway, my point is, he takes from Kristen Scott Benson, who is a great banjo player. And so he was the one who taught me, like, oh, you can take lessons with these people online. Oh, wow. So about 8 years ago, I started taking, I'd played bluegrass a lot of my life, but not, I wanted to really, really learn bluegrass. So, or really get my stuff down to where if I was going to try to play bluegrass professionally, it's an old man's game. You can be 90 and still playing bluegrass, and nobody goes, that's weird. It's fine, you know what I mean? But if you're 90 playing rock and roll in a bar, I don't know, my ears ring bad enough already. I don't need that in my life.
That's funny.
But so I started taking, I heard Jake Workman play with Ricky Skaggs, and I was like, what is that? What is this guy doing? Have you ever heard, you've heard Jake, right? And the best right hand in the world. And so you're talking about right hand is what got me on this. So I started taking lessons from Jake about 8 years ago. Nowadays, one a year maybe. When I was getting ready for Winfield, I would bring my arrangements to him. Maybe a couple of times we'd talk through them. But he taught me a lot about picking and about harmony. Even though I knew a lot about harmony, I knew a lot about weird harmony. Just because you know how to build a bridge doesn't mean you know how to build a skyscraper. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't, and just because you know how to build a skyscraper doesn't mean you build a teepee properly or something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's different skill sets. So he taught me better right hand technique in the lean, how to lean properly. Like when you escape. And that really only comes into play when you're playing really fast. But it's sort of like this: if you have elite athletes, It's those minuscule changes at the really fast tempos that help it. So anyway, Jake, I started taking lessons from Jake, and then I won the Texas Flat Picking Championship, went to the Winfield, made it in the top 5, and it was just like immediately, just because I'd played guitar all my life, but I just had somebody who goes, here's how you do bluegrass right. And I kept taking from him, and man, I've had a lot of teachers and a lot of different things. I have a doctorate in composition, and things, but I've had a lot of teachers, and Jake is one of the best teachers I've ever been around or had the fortune to take from. And so a lot of guys, when they play with their fingers spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I played bluegrass forever. But then just recently, Jake told me, the really fast guys curl in their hands. And so most people can't make the transition between the two. But since I played all that telly with my hand right here, that was easy for me to do.
Yeah.
And get those really...
It's cool. I think the right hand is a differentiator. I'm always amazed. You can have 15 different great guitar players pick up the same exact guitar, and they all sound different. And I think a lot of it comes down to the right hand.
It comes down to the right hand. And then the other thing, too, man, is that guitar playing, like I live in the classical world, too. And the classical world, there are unique voices in it, but it comes from a really old tradition. And so you're trying to shoot towards this thing that has been set up as a model in the past. And that's just not the same with guitar. Like I said, electric guitar. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's Joe Pass, there's Jimi Hendrix, there's Danny Gatton, there's, Andy Wood. I mean, they're all very different guitar players, and they're all smoking badasses. But but it just there is no like if you go hear an opera singer, some are different, but they're all sort of, their North Star is always kind of the same. And they're all shooting for a certain thing that comes from this big tradition. And you might be shooting towards the Hendrix tradition, but it's like pop singers. There's Bob Dylan and there's Beyonce. I mean, it's like, a unique voice is kind of necessary.
Yeah.
And they're unique voices in classical music, but you're always playing old music, so what does it matter?
Yeah. It's super cool. You've had a fascinating trajectory. Tell me about what you're doing now. You're teaching at Rice, and it's like the opposite. You're teaching electronic music, I think you mentioned, which is so far away from bluegrass.
I teach recording, but and then I teach interactive electronic music. There was one of my teachers, another great teacher named Butch Rovan, Joseph Butch Rovan. He teaches at Brown now, but I met him at North Texas, and I met a lot of really great players at North Texas too. They changed my life too, a lot of guitar players. But Butch was a guitar player too. He had a really cool 50s telly, but he taught me interactive electronic music using Max MSP. And so what Max MSP does, and I do these improvisations with the computer and guitar, and so what Max is, it's interactive, meaning that it's taking data from what I'm playing and looking at what I'm playing and responding in a prescribed way or a kind of algorithmic sort of way, depending on how I program it. So how I always tell people this is like, if you turn on a delay, if I turn on a delay over here, they all have delay on them, right? But if in Max, one of the things I could do is like every time I play a G, it puts a delay on it. So you're playing and then a G would have a delay on it. And then maybe you say, how about every time I do it, I play and there's a G, there's a 20% chance there's a delay on it.
Oh.
And then how about if it doesn't trigger that time, how about it becomes a 25% chance every time until it finally hits, and then we go back down to 20? Or what if we took the weather pattern of the day and made that describe what it's, I mean, it's meaningless, but it could like get data from something else and make it change.
Yeah.
It's called mapping, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you map your foot pedal onto whatever you're doing, you're basically mapping some sort of thing about what you're doing onto another parameter in your effect. So it's like a big aux in, like if you're in a DAW and you're like putting a little bit of delay or reverb, just writing it in, except it's doing it naturally with these things. And so I find that fascinating, and I use it on records sometimes, you know, just to get different sounds. And
do you ever find yourself, I imagine you would find yourself surprised with the results you get out of that? Like things come out that you didn't expect?
Oh, absolutely. And this is for music too. Way of thinking about music. But yeah, dude, you can... one of my teachers, another teacher, Andrew May, he's a composition guy, interesting dude, but he always talked about like building in the, you know, the funny thing, you know, the cliche thing to say, make a bug a feature, you know, but just basically building in the fact that you don't know what it's going to do. And when something happens that you don't know what it's going to do, instead of being upset about the outcome, try to find the beauty in that outcome and see what other worlds it opens up. There's two ways of thinking about it. This is classical music stuff, but Arnold Schoenberg, very prescribed music, right? You know, it's whole 12-tone music, and it's all on a grid. If you don't know that guy, it's pretty crazy stuff, right? And it's atonal, people call it, or pantonal, meaning that no note has any more gravity than any other note. It's like without key, even though your ear always brings you to one. Okay, that's one way. You make a system, and then whatever the system yields, you love. And you go, okay, my system made this, and it's great because the system is great, and I like it, regardless of what it sounds like. And then there's people like Ligeti, if you know that composer, a great composer, who would say you make a complex idea out of a complex system out of a naive idea. So you take something that just sounds good. You walk up to your instrument and you do something sounds good. And you take that little snippet of what sounds good and you go, what is that? And then you take it and you make a huge system out of it, out of starting from something that sounds beautiful. And so the system is, and then the system can change. So you're starting from something that sounds good and making the system rather than starting with the system to make something that sounds.
That is super interesting. And I imagine it's almost, I think of it like it's a way to like create new music that no one would have ever put together before. It's a way to kind of advance things, I think about, right?
Well, you know, some would say advance, some would say destroy, you know, but it's because it's like, you know, this music is not that really, the weird stuff I do is not for everybody. I mean, it's sort of like this. I put it like this. It's like, you know, there's a McDonald's on every corner. There's nothing wrong with McDonald's. And you find a good McDonald's. You find that good McDonald's in your town that actually things are hot and fresh and it's pretty good, you know. But then there's that little niche restaurant in your town that serves like, you know, Ethiopian food that's really good if you like Ethiopian food. And they're kind of, but you couldn't have that on every corner because not everybody wants that.
Right.
And so it's sort of like this. It is a way of pushing it forward, but it's, to me, it's a way of opening up new avenues. Like, because pop music is going to be pop music.
Right.
But this is like things that you can't improvise. There are certain things you can't improvise. I mean, because you can't improvise. Beethoven couldn't improvise a symphony. Do you know what I mean? It's a work. It's like you can't improvise a skyscraper, like I keep saying. These huge monolithic kind of structures. You can't improvise that. You have to compose that. You have to take it to the drawing board. You have to work on it. It takes time and a group of people and a collective thought and just a way of making it come to life. And that is one way of making music, and then the other way is just picking up and making something up, you know?
Yeah.
It can only be so you can only keep so much in your head.
Mm-hmm.
When you take it down in math and just write it out, theory versus sound, it's like you can take that. Okay, something people don't think about. You could take this, like those 3 notes, and then go, well, what if I moved it up a half step and went?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to write out that scale and figure it out, because all I'm doing is doing 3 notes and then going up a half step and doing 3 whole tones. Going up a half step, doing 3 whole tones. Right? And it got me back there. But if you notice, the octave changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that scale would change every octave.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So every time you got to a different octave, that scale would be different.
Yeah.
I haven't really worked that one out, but I think I'm right, But there's definitely some of those that would do that. So people do this with notes, and they really get mathematical with it. So
Yeah.
I guess I'd say I've gotten that from this to help me like push things in a way. But it doesn't help you play. Like what I learned in classical, when I got my doctorate in classical music, it didn't help me play Merle Haggard better. It didn't help me play. It didn't help me play Bill Monroe better. It's just a completely different thing.
But did it give you more of a overall understanding of how it was put together, perhaps?
Man, I don't think so. I think
Probably, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think it helps that way at all. Now, what it does is help see what's out there and know that, like, at any moment I can get really out there. Like I can be, because like a lot of the bluegrass guys I hang out with when I'm getting to pick some they'll take it out. It'll get weird. And I'm like, oh, you want to get weird? I can get weird, man. It's like my wife actually said that after I started taking from Jake, it really kind of focused me back to the real world of playing. Like, because Jake would just be like, yeah, don't do that. It sounds terrible. Don't do that. Even though it's theoretically something, in my mind, I liked it. And this goes back to, this goes back because there's a song by Camper Van Beethoven, one of my favorite bands from that era. And it's like, I got an electric guitar and half a bottle of warm beer, and I got a funny idea about what sounds good. That's, I always loved that line. And so I remember being with Johnny. I've always had this like weird slant to my taste.
Yeah.
I was playing organ. I had a B3 organ. I was playing organ on this track with Johnny, and I told him what I was going to play. And it was one of our biggest songs, a song called Noise in the Hallway. It's like, people always say it sounds like The Passenger, Iggy Pop. I'd never heard that at the time. I just wrote that shit. So, you ripped off Iggy Pop. I didn't know who Iggy Pop was when I was 18. I have to admit, It's like, so anyway. And I told Johnny what I was going to play on that record, playing the organ. He was like, oh, okay. He hit the tape. He stopped me. He was like, I thought you were kidding. He's like, don't do that. Do something. You know what I mean? So I've always kind of had like a slant on, you know what I mean? I've always had kind of like a funny idea about what sounds good,
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's unique, and that's what it's all about is chasing that sound you have in your head.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah,
I could talk to you all day, Chapman. Fascinating
me
stuff.
too,
I
man.
got two more questions for you.
Sure.
What are you listening to today? What do you gravitate towards for listening to music today?
Man, I listen to a lot of jazz, a lot of piano players. I listen to Bill Evans all the time. I always come back to Bill Evans because it's just, I said, people can't improvise as well as they can compose. Bill Evans is one of the exceptions, in that style, you can just improvise and it was as good as you could write it,
Cool.
Because with writing something, you can kind of like tweak it later. You look at early Beethoven, he's writing, it's like not good, it's not good, then it's genius. He works on it, And Bill Evans obviously worked on it, but when he's improvising, it's just as good as if you went back and you can't fix anything. It's all just right where it should be. Right. So I listen to a lot of that. I listen to a lot of, I tend to listen to a lot of the guys I'm playing with. I have to, to like learn their tunes. Just played with a guy named Gus Clark. He's really great. Played with the guy Corey Quinn. I kind of don't play my own stuff at the time just because why not? I'm kind of just side man at the moment. I like it, you know.
Yeah.
Play guitar, go home. But dude, I listen to a lot of that. I listen to a lot of old bluegrass country, like bluegrass right now. A lot of my students want to like me to, you know, tab out some Doc Watson. So Doc Watson is sort of like my Bill Evans. I always go back to him.
Yep.
You know, I've loved Doc Watson, Tony Rice, but
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. Let me see what I'm listening to. If you don't mind, in a second, I'll tell you what I'm listening to lately.
And what are your students listening to? Are they into Billy Strings, or what are they?
Yeah, they like Billy. The young ones like Billy, and they all want to. A lot of them want to learn how to.
Yeah.
They want to learn
Yeah.
all those kind of like flashy chicken picking stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, I was listening to the tune "Old Ebenezer Scrooge," Beaumont Rag, the French Suites, Bach. I listen to a lot of Bach. Is like Bill Evans to me. I go back to him all
Yeah.
the time. Big Scioto, a bunch of different ways because people want to learn that. Some Greg Koch, Handel, some. Oh, dude, it just keeps going.
That's so cool, man. So cool.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. Now, last question for me or for you is tell me about that Telecaster. Does that have a special story, or what's that all about?
Well,
That's the one I see you playing all the time, right?
yeah, man. This is kind of a '90s telly that was just had the stock pickups. It's a '90s 52 reissue, and
Nice.
20 years ago or so, I put the Joe Bardens in it because I'm
Gotcha.
a Danny
Yep.
Gatton freak. I love Danny Gatton.
Yep.
I bent the tone knob so that you can still roll it when it's in the
Oh, cool.
bridge position, you know.
Yep.
It's a Danny Gatton trick. I don't have the CZs. He put CZs in there so that you could see it in low light and go, oh, where's C? Okay, there you are. But so this guitar was at a little place in Starkville, Mississippi, which is where I got my philosophy degree. My undergrad's in philosophy. So
Yeah.
and I was on the road. I was touring at this time and not in school. And I coveted this guitar because I love Danny Gatton. I was like, I want this guitar. I want this guitar. I want this guitar. But it was like $1,400 or $1,300, you know, and I just didn't have it and I couldn't buy it. And the guitar people knew I loved it. And so they called me one morning and said, it's your lucky day. It fell off the wall. And so
Oh, no way.
it fell off the wall and it has like a, let me see if I can find, like a,
Yeah, yeah.
it got smashed there. So they took a couple of $100 off and then I bought it, you know.
Nice.
It's like, well, I can't
Nice.
pass it up now. I got to buy it. So that's the story. But I played it forever, and like all this wear, this is just where my finger would hit.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like I used to play like this, I guess, and it wore off. I tend to play like this, but I played like this long enough that I wore it down. So it's
Yeah.
nothing special. I have cooler guitars. I got like a 59 special. I got some.
Nice.
70 Strat. I got some cool that costs a lot more than this guitar, but I wouldn't trade it for $100,000. Well, maybe $100,000. I'd trade it. Yeah. Anybody, if anybody hears this, if they want it for $100,000, sold. Even 50. How about it? But
All right.
but the point is, it's nothing special, but it's special to
Yeah.
me.
Sure.
And every guitar player, they always ask me. I get, hey, I saw this guitar. What do you think? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like I have no clue about that guitar because like I have a pre-war guitar company, Triple O, that I play all the time. I really love. I played 50 pre-wars and didn't like them. But I found that one. I was like, I like this one.
Yeah.
So that's a key, man. It's like whatever. If it speaks to you, it's cool. Because I've played Squire Tellys that are some of the 80s Squire Tellys that were some of the most badass guitars I ever played.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they're
it's
cheap.
cool.
But if it's cool, it's cool. If it's not, it's not.
Yep, absolutely. So cool. Well, Chapman, I really appreciate your time. I'll link below to your videos. I hope people check out all of your lessons on Instagram and YouTube. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for
Man,
stopping
thanks,
by.
Brian. Great to meet you, and good luck with everything, man.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.